What is Mars and Mercury up to now? Hello everybody, I'm Tina Chari. Welcome to my channel and a very warm namaste. Today we discuss the transit of two very important planets, Mars and Mercury. Now Mars moved into Gemini on April 14th. It's going to stay there till June 1st. Mercury transit into Aries on April 17th, and it's going to stay there only till April 30th. Now, Aries is owned by Mars, and Gemini is owned by Mercury. So Mars is staying in Mercury's house, and Mercury is staying in Mars's house. In Vedic astrology, this is called a Parivartan yoga, which means Parivartan means change, but in this case in astrology it means exchange of houses. So what does that exchange or a Parivartan yoga means? It's when two planets exchange houses and sit in each other's houses. So it affects each other. And how does it affect each other? Let's talk about it. Let me give you an analogy. So let's just assume that I have a friend and I go live in my friend's house and my friend lives in my house. How does that affect me and my friend? Well, when I'm living in my friend's house or she's living in my house, she's kind of going to live a similar life like I live in my own house. She's going to probably eat the same food that I eat because that's what's available. She's going to sit in my room, in surroundings, in my environment, and kind of start living the life that I live, which I would do in her house. So she's going to be impacted, or I'm going to be impacted by my surroundings and kind of become like her or live her life, so to speak. This is what happens with planets. When there is a Parivartan yoga or an exchange of planets, they get impacted by each other and start to kind of behave like each other in some way, which is why Parivartan yoga is a very important transit, because now Mars and Mercury, which are kind of very different in nature, but are going to start behaving kind of like each other. Hence, this transit is very important. Although the transit, the Parivartan, is only for 2 weeks, it's a very important transit. So I'm going to talk about both of these planets and how this Parivartan affects both of these planets and it impacts us. And also I'm going to do the predictions for the Parivartan exchange that impacts us. I'm going to move on to the significations of Mars and Mercury, but just a reminder, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. And if at the end of the video, if you like my video, hit a like button and share it with your friends and family. Talk about Mercury. Mercury in Vedic astrology is called Budh, and Budh signifies Buddhi. Buddhi means our intelligence. So Mercury signifies our intelligence. It's also primarily the ruler of communication. So on the whole, Mercury signifies our ability to understand, intelligent ability to understand things and then communicate them. So communication is verbal, written communication is all Mercury's doing, right? And also the ability to understand numbers is governed by Mercury. So people that have a very good ability to do numbers, mathematical ability and the finance ability, and people that are in the accounting field that rise to very high levels have a very, very good Mercury in their charts. So the ability to understand numbers and mathematical ability is governed by Mercury as well. So these are the significations of Mercury. In this day and age, social media is a way of communication. Our phones and our computers are also a means of communication. Hence, these are all signified by Mercury. Let's move on to Mars. Now, Mars, as we know, is this fiery little planet that signifies pride, ego, and because it's fire, it has courage, it has determination, and it's very focused, and it signifies the armed forces. So the ability to fight for whatever you think is right, and has a lot of energy, and it has a lot of vibrancy, and the signification of aggression as well. So this is the significations of Mars primarily. So now we're going to talk about how when they exchange signs, what do they do? So both of them get a little bit of the characteristics of each other, which means that Mercury, because it governs our speech and our intelligence, is now going to be impacted by the hot, fiery nature of Mars, which means our speech might get a little arrogant, our speech might get a little egoistic, and our speech might get harsh during this transit or the exchange of planets. Because don't forget, we have to mix up both of these and come up with the results. So we have to watch our communication and how we do it. People that even communicate in a very pleasant, cordial manner might all of a sudden be communicating in a very harsh manner. As I said, that a dog barked very harshly, so it signifies, the vibration around me always changes to the planet that I'm talking about. So, and again, Mars is the significator, like I said, of fiery things and stuff like that. So our intelligence is also going to be impacted by the fiery nature. We may be very rash. We may make very rash decisions. We may do very rash spending. We may do our actions may be very rash, especially when we do decision making, which is intelligence related, which is ruled by Mercury. So our decisions may be very quick without thinking, which is what Mars does. It doesn't think before it acts. So Mercury is our decision making ability. So Mars is going to be impacted by our decision making ability, and so that's going to be impacted too. So we have to watch out for these things, that we don't fall prey to this exchange where watch your communication, watch your decision making, watch our what we type out in our communication in our social media, watch what you post on social media very carefully. Also what it does, it starts a lot of rumor mongering and gossip that you can either do in person or on social media. Now you have to watch that kind of stuff. So this is what the exchange of those two planets could imply. And so you have to really guard against that. I'm going to move on to predictions now. Before I move on to predictions, I just have a note to say that before, Mars has now moved on to Gemini. But before that, obviously, it was in Taurus, and it was forming a conjunction with Rahu, which was forming the Angarak yoga. Angarak means fiery yoga. So, and it was not a very good yoga. I have a video that I put out at that time. It's still on YouTube, and you can watch it if you want to. But some of the predictions that were made was that, it's going to cause anger, outbursts, earthquakes, and, some of not the nicest things, but, people are going to be under the influence of Rahu and Mars and make things worse for themselves through anger. And some of those things, unfortunately, they come out true. There's been 45 mass shootings in the US only in the last month, that during the Angarak Yuga. There's been a couple of earthquakes. So these planets do have an effect on us, and sometimes when you make predictions, or you kind of feel that that's what the planets are going to do, as an astrologer you don't like making them, but sometimes you just have to caution people, and it's just a cautionary thing. Yeah, I don't need to scare people, but sometimes you just need to kind of watch out, so you make sure that you take care of yourself, and that's it. Somebody had asked me, do the predictions that I make on the transits, they're based on your ascendant sign, so it's not on your moon sign or your sun sign that you normally see in newspapers, that your sun sign that you follow. You can't use it for that. If you don't know what your ascendant sign is, you just in my comments, you could just go down, tell me your time of birth, date of birth, and your place of birth, and I can respond back and tell you what your ascendant sign is, so you can listen to the correct portion of the predictions. But who do the predictions? Somebody had asked me, well, is this hold for everybody, the predictions that I do? The predictions on the transits that I normally do are impact those people the most, that if you are having a dasha, mahadasha, antardasha, or a pratyantardasha, meaning the phases of astrology, if you are under the influence of those planets that I'm talking about the transits for, so if you're under those planets, the influence of those planets, then the transits affect you the most. But if you absolutely not under those influence of those planets, then the transit affects you very minimally, or sometimes not at all. So you really need to know if you are having a dasha or an antardasha, like right now, if you're under the influence of Mars or Mercury, then this transit is really, really going to affect you in a big way. But if you're not being impacted by Mars or Mercury right now, then it might affect you very minimally. But again, the general, thing about watching your speech, I think that kind of affects everybody. So the specific predictions by transit, by ascendant, affect more if you're under the influence of those planets. So the first is always Aries. Aries, this exchange is between your first house and your third house. So the first house governs yourself, and the third house is your courage, determination, your speech, and short travel. So obviously you need to make sure that you don't let this ego get in the way and your harsh communications. You're the perfect person or the perfect group that might have a little bit of harsh speech going on and your ego getting in the way of everything and your relationship. So you really need to watch it. Otherwise, if this is a good transit, because you will get the support of your siblings, you'll get the support of neighbors if you need that. And your short travels, be very careful when you do short travels, but everything else, it's an okay transit for you as long as you keep your communication good and proper with your loved ones. Otherwise, it's a good it's an okay transit for you. It's not a bad transit, but those are the two houses that impacts you. So if you're taking some competitive exams or tests or whatever, it's a good time for that. So those are the significations for Aries. Taurus, this exchange is happening between your 12th house and your second house. Now, the 12th house represents expenses of all kinds, mainly financial expenses and also investments. And the second house represents your savings and your family. So I'm not doubting that there will be some disagreement regarding how your savings can be invested, or how you may have a lot of expenses coming up. So the focus is going to be on finance. And the second house also represents speech with family members. So watch your disagreements with family members regarding spending, especially spending, and make sure that you invest wisely. Or maybe if you don't need to touch your finance, or you say just stay cool, don't even touch it if you don't need to, because there will be disagreements with family members about how to spend your money, or how to save your money, or how to invest your money. So your focus is more on disagreements with family members regarding how money and finance is handled or spent or whatever. Just make sure you watch for that. It's a short transit. It will move on. It's only a few days. I'm sure you can get by without having to do something regarding finance. Good luck. Gemini. Gemini, this transit exchange is happening in your first house and your 11th house. So the 11th house is governs your wish fulfillment, desires, getting filled, and yourself. So it's a good transit for you, because Mercury is also your ascendant lord. So it's very important transit for you, and it's actually going to be a great transit for you. So you're one of the lucky ascendants. Gemini has just had such a lucky role in the last month or so, because their 11th house has just been so active. So this means that good things, they will see a lot of good things happening to them, things that they wanted, happening to them. Popularity will be increased. They will do things that will be, there for everybody to see. They might get appreciation from a lot of people as well. They may also spend a lot of good family time and enjoy it. The one thing I caution you against is just watch your irritability and laziness. Otherwise, things may not, turn out as good. So just make sure you keep your hard work going to keep getting the results of this transit, and also to appreciate your family members to get your good luck factor going. Otherwise, it's a great transit for you. Cancer. This exchange is happening between your 10th house and your 12th house. So the 10th house is your career, and the 12th house is spending. So I think that focusing on your career is going to, aggressive focusing on your career, I think is going to get you a really good positive change in your career, or some expected results. So it's Mars transiting in your house of career is actually a very good thing, because Mars signifies aggression, moving forward, breaking barriers, and doing something that getting what it wants. So you may get what you want if you pursue it with determination. So that's a good transit. And Mercury, So your 12th house expenses, I see that you might have been spending money for fun things and also with children. So when you do that, actually that's a good transit for you. So you're one of the lucky ascendants that this actually transit exchange is actually going to work out better for you. You may spend money on short travels and with children, and it actually might work out better. This is also a good time to spend for improving relationships with your partner. So and that might involve a little spending, maybe going out or something like that, but actually it's a good transit for you. So but it does involve money, spending money to have fun. So you may be doing that. If you haven't done that, if you can spare some, maybe you should do it, and you'll see that your relationship with children and family members does improve. So it's a good transit for you. Enjoy it. Leo, this exchange is happening between your 11th house and your 9th house. And the 11th house is desire fulfillment, wishes granted, getting what you want. And the 9th house is the house of luck. So your desire fulfillment and your karmic luck have exchanged houses. How much better does it get? You guys have had a good roll too in the last month. Your sun transit is actually good for you, and now this transit is exchange is also good for you. So it's a great time for luck, for your luck factor to open up, especially in the realm of getting what you want from a career standpoint. I think that if you pursue your dream, if you pursue and you work hard at it, you will get what you want. It's a good time for you from a luck factor and your career factor. The one thing I've always cautioned my Leo people right now, especially in the last month or two, is to watch that ego. Leo is so susceptible to getting a big ego because, they are ruled by the sun. The sun always has a little bit of ego going on. So they're as soon as they get something, their ego is just out of control. So watch your ego because it ruins the luck factor. It ruins the 9th house. Watch your ego, watch your arrogance, watch how you talk to people, especially at work, and your luck will stay good. So make sure you do that. Make sure you watch your ego and arrogance with your life partner, and that way your domestic happiness is assured at this time. So again, keep that ego and arrogance in check. Make sure you communicate very nicely, lovingly. Keep your arrogance aside, and it's a good transit for you. So good luck and enjoy it. Virgo, so this exchange is happening between your 10th house and your 8th house, and the 10th house governs your career, and the 8th house is not a favorite of astrologers because it governs like obstacles, stresses, some difficulties, and all things hidden. Things that are not known is governed by the 8th house. So when you put that all together, there could be some, you may experience some difficulty or some obstacles in your career. There could also be some plotting or planning behind the scenes at work that you are not aware of. But because Mars is involved, and Mars is a fighter planet, you may come out ahead. Make sure you work hard, just like Mars. So make sure you accentuate your Mars. Make sure you work hard and you keep your communication professional, and also you don't have to become aware of anything that's going on, but make sure you work hard, do what you need to do, and keep your communication very professional, and you will come out ahead. Whatever they're plotting and planning or whatever they're doing behind the scenes is not even going to work out because you have Mars on your side, remember. Other than that, this is a good transit. It's an okay transit because 8th house also signifies transformation. So you may transform into a completely different person after this whole transit is said and done, because you will start taking care of your health. I think you're already, through the sun's transit also in the 8th house, I think you're already starting to transform how you think, how you handle yourself, how you handle your health. And so now with Mars transit in there, you might start thinking about how you can better use your energy, how to not be so lazy, how to do things differently. And I think by the time this whole transit of the sun and Mars, Mercury is done, especially because Mercury is your ascendant lord as well, is done, you may come out very different in your way of communication. Watch your communication though. I think that Mars and Mercury exchange is definitely going to impact your communication style. I think you may get fiery, you may get arrogant, you may get rude, and you need to watch that, especially at work and home. But otherwise, it's an okay transit. This will pass, but just kind of keep your ears and eyes open, and things will be okay. It's a short transit. It will pass. Libra. This exchange is happening between your 7th house and your 9th house. The 9th house represents your karma, your luck, and also spirituality. 7th house represents your partnerships. It could be business partnerships and marital partnerships, so your spouse for sure. It's an okay transit because as long as you keep your communication with your spouse and your business partner is good and professional, I think this is a great transit because your luck is on your side. Remember, the 9th house represents your luck. So I think the marital relationship will improve a lot, especially if you've been having some difficulty in the past. Here's the transit that will change things. So definitely this will change for the better. Keep your communication style loving. You remember, Libra is ruled by Venus. I think it's time to pull in that little Venus energy. So keep your communication style very loving. Make sure you stay spiritual. I think that's going to be a little bit of key. Do some meditation if you have to, but make sure you keep that Mars under control. And I think it's a good transit for you. I think on the work front too, I think it's good for career. It's good for relationships as long as you keep the mouth a little bit under control. I think this is a great transition for you. Good luck. Scorpio, this exchange is happening between your 6th house and your 8th house. These are the two feared houses by the astrologers because the 6th house represents disease and enemies and the 8th house represents obstacles, stresses, and some difficulty. Now, there will be some difficulty in your career and your health, but because Mars is involved and Mars is your ascendant lord, you will have the courage to come out ahead, fight through all of these and come out ahead. Just stay strong, take care of your health, and this will be an okay transit. There will be some spending also. You may have to come up with spending on unnecessary things or a lot of increased spending. Just watch your spending if you can and take good care of your health and you will come out ahead. It's a short transit and good luck. Sagittarius, this exchange transit is happening between your 7th house and your 5th house. So the 5th house represents all the wonderful things in life, which could be children, it could be education, it could be your love life, it could be having fun, and it could be creativity, doing things, that have fun. It could be doing creative things. And the 7th house rules your marital partnership, your spouse, also business partnerships. So this is a good time to have a strong partnership, relationships. It's a great time for love life. It's a great time to do, if you want to learn new things, this is a great time to start it. It's a good time to spend with children. It's a very good time as long as you keep your communication under control. I think it's a great transit for you. You are one of the lucky ascendants that this is a good time for, because two nice houses are involved. Just all the time I'm cautioning all the ascendants, watch your communication skills with your children because it involves the 5th house, and your spouse because it involves the 7th house. So watch your communication skills, keep it very loving, and this should be a very, very good exchange transit for you. Very good for students if they're starting education, or as far as education is concerned, it's a very good transit for students as well. Capricorn, this exchange transit is happening between your 6th house and your 4th house. The 4th house rules your domestic happiness within the home, everything related to happiness. And the 6th house rules a little bit of fighting, a little bit of trouble, a little bit of stress, and a little bit of health issues. So there may be some disagreements in your home. You may get visitors, or you may have issues in the home that you have a disagreement with your partner with, or have a little bit of a tiff going on in the house. You may actually just get stressed out because of things happening within your home. Just try to control that. There may be small health issues. The 6th house relates to minor health issues, so you may see some minor health issues. Watch your eating. Make sure you're eating healthy and make sure you're following a good exercise regimen. That's the trick to make sure you keep that 6th house in control, and make sure your communication at all times is cordial within the household, with everybody that lives in your house, family, and your spouse. Otherwise, it's an okay transit as long as you keep your communication in check and watch your health as far as exercising and a physical regimen is concerned. Do that, and otherwise the transit's good. Watch the communication at home. That's the key. That's the key to making this transit okay for you. Aquarius, this exchange transit is happening between your 3rd house and your 5th house. So the 3rd house relates to courage, determination, hard work, neighbors, siblings, and short distance travels. And the 5th house relates to all things fun. So it could be, and also creativity, it's children, it's education, having fun, going out and spending time with, and doing fun things, basically starting creative projects, starting new projects, the start of something new. So it's an okay transit for you. Just also sometimes the third house, because it rules your speech, and Mars is a hard planet for you. You know, it goes against Saturn, which is your ascendant lord. So watch your speech. I think that there's going to be some speech issues and arrogance issues with you. So watch that speech. Don't get angry with people. I think anger is going to be a thing that you need to contend with, especially with your loved ones. So make sure you stay calm. And laziness is something that sometimes you can fall prey to when 3 and 5 houses are connected. So don't get lazy. Stay calm. And I think the relationship with children might improve at this time also. But again, it's an okay transit for you. Just make sure you keep doing what you're doing. Keep the hard work and the determination going. If there's something you want to achieve, make sure you work towards that, and just don't sit back and stop working on it. I think otherwise it's a good transit. It's good for relationships. It's good for love life. So as long as you keep your communication in check, it's an okay transit for you. The exchange transit is happening between your second house and your fourth house. So the second house relates to finance, wealth, savings, family, and your speech. And the fourth house is your domestic happiness, home, real estate, and generally happiness, mental happiness as well. I think this is going to be some time for disagreements with family members on how to spend money, or where to spend money, and how to spend it on luxury items, especially, and things that relate to the home, and especially savings. Like, you're going to be using your savings, and then how to use them, where to spend them, how to spend them. This is definitely called for a time of disagreements, and I think you need to manage through that. I think the communication and how you communicate with your loved ones and your family is going to be critical. Otherwise, it can get out of hand. And sometimes when 2 and 4 are connected, it's disagreements within the 4 walls of your house, and your mental peace, you will be very disturbed if you don't keep that communication in check right now, or the aggression or the anger. I think there will be anger issues within the house. I think that especially with your spouse, there will be could be some infighting also. So just stay cautious about that. Become aware that could happen, and then when you see it getting to that point, just remember I said not to fall prey to it, and then you can just stop. Bring your communication back to cordial and say, this is a transit, I need to pull it back in. And so it's sometimes it's better to know that it's happening, because why it's happening, and that way you can, when it starts to happen and you see it happening, you can pull it back in and say, okay, I know why it's happening, I just need to pull it back in. So if you're stressed out about something, and especially money issues, it's okay to become aware of it ahead of time, and then be able to control it at the time. So no need to get scared. Just become aware. There's a difference being scared and being aware. I'm just making you aware. So again, that communication's key right now, right? So good luck. It's a short transit. It will pass. It's for all of us. And this brings me to the end of my video. If you like it, hit the like button and share it with all your friends and family, so everybody knows to keep the communication in check. Basically, that's what I've had to tell all my ascendants. It's always the communication that's going to be an issue. But it's a short transit. It will pass soon, and then we'll be talking about something else. Again, thank you for watching my video. Stay safe and take care of yourselves, and I will see you on my next video. Goodbye for now.